Well, the thing we've been waiting for, the thing we've been fearing, it finally happened. Kirk Cousins tested positive for COVID 2 days before a game at Lambeau Field that will possibly officially eliminate the team from the playoffs. Could potentially be the nail in the coffin for many jobs. Of course. Of course it happens. And of course it happens now. What a cursed season. Like, you know, Vikings are a cursed franchise. I don't know how you can, unless you just don't believe in curses, I don't know how you can doubt it. And, people talk about season like 2010 as just being just one thing after another, crazy thing, bad thing happened. I don't know. I don't know that any season has ever felt this just cursed and doomed, really, from the start. And I looked it up in my archive videos. I fucking called this shit. I think it was the day that Kirk had his infamous press conference, the plexiglass press conference. That the season already felt like it was doomed at that point. Now, of course, you put that away and you go through the season, and they have ups and downs and stuff, and a lot. Sometimes they look like a really good team, other times they look like complete idiots, and it comes to this point where we're 7-8, going into Lambeau to face your rival in Sunday Night Football, national TV, clinging to playoff hopes. That could be completely gone if I think all that needs to happen is we lose and Philadelphia wins, and we're done. And of course, the timing could not be worse for Kirk to go out. Like this is as bad timing as you could have imagined. I mean, maybe the day of the game would have been worse, but look, I've said what I have to say about the anti-vaxxers, and this includes Kirk. And I have been a hardcore Kirk Cousins defender for longer than I've been doing videos about it. I have been on his side as a football player, as a quarterback, since the day he signed with the Vikings. I've defended him at every turn, just about. If he has a bad game, I say it. But other than that, I'm not one of these lunatics who's out there every time anything goes wrong with the franchise. Oh, it's because of Kirk, or it's because of Kirk's contract, or something like that. And to be fair, hundreds of players are missing time now, missing games because of COVID. You got the Omicron going around, and knocking players out. Lots of teams have had to play games without quarterbacks. Sometimes they've had to play without 2 quarterbacks, even 3 quarterbacks. I think in a couple of cases. And obviously other players too. We've got other guys we've had lots of players getting on the COVID list and missing games, on vaxxed and unvaxxed alike. The way the NFL has this set up, and they've lessened it a little bit. I think just within the last week or so, where you can get back quicker because Dalvin Cook's already off the COVID list. That would have gone up right basically almost till game time for Green Bay. But they kind of changed the rules midstream because they almost had to, I guess, because so many players are having to miss time. So Kirk, to be fair, Kirk being unvaxxed doesn't really have any bearing on him missing this game. If he tested, if he tested positive, if he was vaccinated and tested positive. I mean, Sean Mannion is vaccinated, and he had tested positive before the last game, and he missed that game. So you can still miss the time. It doesn't mean Kirk would be out for the Bears game, But, you know, so that in itself is not the problem. Although obviously, like, you know, the odds that and he apparently he does have symptoms, so that's another thing. Like, you know, I don't know why people can't understand that, you can be vaxxed and still get COVID. You can be vaxxed and still have symptoms. You could even be vaxxed and still get seriously ill. The odds are greatly lessened. I don't think that Kirk is in any medical danger. Um, I don't know why. I don't know why. I think people are just choosing to not understand. They do understand it, but they're playing dumb. But, you know, like, this was destiny. This was destined to happen this way, because when we found out, whenever that was, it was early. I think it was pretty early in training camp. It might have been right before the season, that the Vikings were the least vaccinated team in the NFL. We knew something like even throughout the season, like, Kirk's never showing up on the COVID list. He's some other players are. He's skating by for months. We still all kind of knew, like, especially when this new Omicron's going around, which was way more transmissible, way easier to get. I think we all knew that it was going to be even more likely that it was going to hit Kirk. Like, it's probably going to hit everybody. Like, probably almost everybody on the team is, whether they've even officially tested positive or not, they probably all had it at some point. But, it was just like, because this could have been this, if they hadn't changed the rules. What was it, the 10-day rule? This would officially be Kirk's season. He'd be done. But, okay, pause just in time. So it, like I said, I've been a Kirk defender, but I said back in August or whenever this was, that I was really disappointed in him for, that when he had that just absurd press conference with the plexiglass comment and all this other bullshit, and talking, none of these anti-vaxxers have any actual any ability to back up what they believe, and that includes Kirk. We've seen it with, it's been talked about a lot with Aaron Rodgers this year, like what an absolute buffoon he's been. And of course he missed a game. So, and who knows, maybe he'll miss another game. I don't know. But, like, the timing on this is just unbelievable. And the vax, like, that's never going to stop. Like, at this point, anyone who's still anti-vax is never going to get vaccinated. I mean, these people saw Dakota Dozier get hospitalized with COVID, within the last couple months, and then he comes, Dakota Dozier comes back, and what's he got to be thinking? He has to he has to be hospitalized with COVID for a while, and he comes back to the team, and he's still got players who are just stupid and selfish and won't get a shot. And again, this might, this wouldn't necessarily have changed anything with Kirk getting this right at this time, but it might have. And here we go. We're going into Lambeau Field. Literally the season on the line. Literally jobs on the line. And Zimmer could be coaching for his job. I don't know. Maybe his job is done for anyway. But he might be coaching for his job, and his starting quarterback is out, and maybe he wouldn't have had to be out. And your star running back was out last week. Probably wouldn't have had to be out. Like, for things that have just nothing to do with football. It's one thing if a guy gets hurt. That's a football thing. This has nothing to do with football. This is everything to do with idiocy, COVID-idiocy. And So Zimmer's Zimmer could be coaching for his job. Maybe it's done anyway, but he could be coaching for his job, and now he's got to go into it without his quarterback. He had to go into the last week without his running back, his star running back. Like whatever you think of Zimmer, like he doesn't deserve to deal with this. He doesn't deserve this shit. He doesn't deserve to have to deal with this bullshit from key players on his team, well compensated players on his team. It's just self-sabotage, and it happens around the league too. The other teams have dealt with it, but I mean, I forget what team was missing like 20 guys or something. I think last week with being on the COVID list, but it's just unbelievable. I saw the headline come up this morning, and I just the head just dropped. It's just unbelievable. This is such a fucking cursed season. As cursed as any season that I've ever seen with the Vikings, and that includes 2010. That includes 2016. It's just unbelievable. So I feel like the longer term ramifications of this can be talked about later. There's no point in saying, does this have any bearing on what they do with Kirk after the season? I think vaccination status is going to play a role, though. I mean, it's going to play a role with everybody, because we probably won't have the same rules. The NFL probably won't have the same rules with this stuff next year. I mean, it's become such chaos with because you have different levels. You have you can have vaxxed, unvaxxed, symptomatic, asymptomatic. It's all kind of just a jumbled mess. And it would have been messy. Even if every player in the NFL was vaccinated, they'd still be having guys test positive. But I don't think it would be. It wouldn't be the problem that it's been. But so now we're going into a do or die game, and oh joy, Sean Mannion is off the COVID list though. I find that interesting how they literally take him off the COVID list at the exact same time they're putting Kirk on. I don't know if there's some funny business there, but yeah. So we're gonna have to watch Sean Mannion play against the Packers. I would certainly not. I'm certainly in the camp that would not start Sean Mannion. I was in the camp that was elated when we drafted Kellen Mond, because at least it meant that we would never have to see Sean Mannion again. Well, he's been back. He's back. I don't know I don't understand the fascination with the guy. Maybe he's good, kind of as a pseudo coach, but he's not a good player. We've seen it in preseason games. We saw it against the Bears at the end of 2019. He got a shot to play and was awful. He's been awful in preseason. We let him go after the season, and he got cut by was it Seattle? I think he signed with in the off season, and he didn't even make it out of training camp. But then we bring him back, and here we are, do or die game, and Sean Mannion starting. And that doesn't mean that Kellen Mond, would be some guarantee to go out there and just light it up. He probably wouldn't. He'd probably struggle a lot too. But starting Mannion feels like waving the white flag. And maybe you just have to wave the white flag because this is fucking doomed from the start. But nobody needs to see Sean Mannion play against the Green Bay Packers. Nobody. What are you gonna learn from that? You're not gonna learn anything. He's not a long-term quarterback for the team. He's like 30 years old, and he's thrown 0 touchdown passes yet in his career. He has no business being out there on Sunday. He has no business being on an NFL roster. Maybe Kellen Mond doesn't either. Oh yeah, and of course we also re-signed. We signed Kyle Sloter the other day, which of course excited all of the morons who for years were screaming about how Kyle Sloter was, you know, this diamond in the rough who was going to be a superstar quarterback. Meanwhile, he's been cut by like how many other teams since then? Somehow he wound up back here. I don't know why we can't ever get rid of these fucking quarterbacks. I don't get it, man. We can't get rid of Manning. We can't be rid of Slaughter. You know, it's just can we just give Kellerman a shot? You know, he at least showed a little something in preseason, not a lot. I mean, he certainly didn't look. I mean, of course he missed time for COVID in the preseason, and that was a big part, I think, of maybe why he didn't even end up winning the backup quarterback job. Obviously, when he's basically been third string all year, you don't hear from him. You certainly don't see him in any games. I mean, it's almost like he doesn't exist. But I would, I mean, what the hell do you have to lose? You're gonna lose this game anyway. No, I mean, there's no chance we win this game. The only way we could possibly win this game is if, with Mannion starting, is if Dalvin Cook has one of the all-time greatest games a running back has ever had. Like, he had a really good game in Green Bay last year. It would have to be double that. Like, it would have to be just, beyond anything we've ever seen, maybe from any running back in the history of the NFL. Because I mean, we're not going to stop Aaron Rodgers. I don't care how cold it is at Lambeau. We're not going to stop Aaron Rodgers. So, and the Green Bay is going to need this game because they're still fighting for the number one seed. Granted, they played the Lions in the last week, so they would probably win that game anyway. But they can't lose the game because I'm not sure what the tiebreakers are with like Dallas and Tampa, but they probably can't afford to lose a game and get in there. So it's just they're gonna have to win, and so we're not gonna get any favors from them. And we beat them, about a month ago. So they're gonna be mad. They're gonna want revenge, and what better revenge than ending our season? So yeah, you're probably screwed if you throw Kellen Mond out there for his first NFL action. But it's the unknown. Like it's the allure of the unknown. We don't know what he is. We don't know. Maybe he's terrible. Maybe he was never should have been drafted. I was against the draft pick from the start. I didn't like that they took. I didn't like that. I didn't like the draft pick. I didn't like that they took a quarterback at that spot. Now we ended up with like 4 third-round draft picks, but who haven't really done much, unfortunately. But I was against the pick, but it's like he's here now. Like let's see him. Let's see something. I don't, like I said, I don't think this development really has much of a bearing on what they do with Kirk after the season. I think that's going to be decided, potentially by a new coach, potentially by a new GM. I've been on the camp of let's extend Kirk again, but depending on what the NFL rules are going to be with this COVID shit, because it ain't going away. It's never going to go away because of these anti-vaxxers, of whom Kirk is one. So they're probably going to have some sort of rules next year, and we might get in this same fucking predicament. But if we do, maybe Kellen Mond can be something. Maybe Kellen Mond can be even a quarterback of the future, or just a more dangerous backup than Sean Mannion, who's the Packer coaches are laughing right now because they're like, we have to prepare for Sean Mannion. Like Mannion's not a mobile guy. He's not good. Mond at least can run around a little bit, maybe make some plays. I mean, people are already bringing up, obviously, the Joe Webb thing from the playoff game in 2012 when they, where we lose Ponder and they put in Joe Webb. And, I don't know if I buy into this, I've ever bought into this, but, the theory that, if we had just kind of let Joe Webb run wild, we might have won that game. I don't know that that's true. Frankly, I don't know that this offensive coordinator is capable of kind of throwing caution to the wind in that way. But, I would start Mond. No question. See what he's got. If he's got nothing, if he goes out there and throws picks on his first 3 drives, okay, fine, put in Mannion. You're probably losing by multiple scores by that point anyway, so who cares? But, take a shot because jobs are on the line, season's on the line. Didn't have to be this way. What a fucking season, man. Just a cursed season. This whole franchise has just had a dark cloud hanging over it, maybe since its inception, but certainly since the dawn of training camp this year. Everything going wrong, and we still are clinging to playoff hopes. Maybe that's an argument for Zimmer being a pretty decent coach after all. I don't know. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think this is going to contribute to Zimmer getting fired. It's like Zimmer doesn't need this. After all this, this on top of everything else, if the Wilfs went to Zimmer after the season and said, "Look, we don't want to fire you, but let's just like buy you out or something, and you can kind of go live on your ranch, or you can go hang out with your hot model girlfriend, and you don't have to deal with stupid athletes and horrible luck with everything and just all this shit." Like, I think he would take that. I really do, because he doesn't need this shit. None of us do. So, all right. Well, Kirk's out. Vikings are probably out. 2021's about out. Maybe things will be better in 2022. Oh my God, they can't be much worse.